So today I wanted to talk about the 5's in the minor arcana. And basically, I think these cards get a really rough deal. And I think that often has more to do with what we are choosing to focus on and less to do with the whole meaning of the card. Now, there definitely is something to be said for the 5's all having a certain difficulty with them. And there are many ways that we can choose to understand this. I like to keep it practical. I think life is complicated enough. I don't want to deep dive into complex reasons. One of the key reasons that I think 5's are hard is because they are the halfway point in the minor arcana. They are halfway between the ace, the excitement of a new beginning, and 10, the completion and the moving on. And in my experience, the halfway point is almost always hard. You're too committed to turn back, but you now fully appreciate just how much has to be done. I mean, my classic example of this would be decluttering or clearing out a room. You know, let's say you've chosen to clear out your kitchen. The halfway point is probably when all of the stuff out of your kitchen cupboards are now on the sides. You've cleaned the kitchen cupboards and you're now looking at it thinking, I'm knackered and I have to keep going. So I think that's one of the reasons why 5's can be hard. But I still think they get a really bad rep. Let's start to look at them one by one and perhaps to bring in a few other cards to kind of reference them. So first of all, the 5 of Wands. People often say that this is conflict, and it can be conflict, but it doesn't have to be. Actually, this image was based upon a photograph of some chaps constructing a garden building. So a core part of this card can be building something. I often connect this to putting together a piece of flat pack furniture. Too many times I've been in that position where me putting together furniture looks like this. I'm holding maybe a side in one hand, my knee is wedged up holding two pieces together, and I'm now trying to reach back for the screwdriver to put some bolts in. And you get to that awful moment where you think, Christ, is this going to come together or is it going to fall apart? So yes, the 5 of Wands can be conflict, but it also can be constructing or building something, which could be a project, it could be a team. You know, it's this idea of bringing different things together to create something. I've often seen this card with holistic professionals being somebody who's got a varied toolbox of skills and they are integrating them to create a cohesive whole. But if we really look at the image, if we look at how the people are holding the wands, this is not a fight. If we have the 7 of Wands, where we have somebody who is carefully grounded and holding their wand in a defensive position. This actually is more likely to be a form of dancing. And we can see here the movement in this person's sort of like skirt or doublet or goodness knows what it is. We can see the bright colours of the different people. If we really look at how we're holding the wands, if you're fighting with a staff, you hold it with 2 hands. Happen to have a bit of a background in staff fighting. I know that to be true. There is no way that they are actually fighting. Chaos, yes. High energy, absolutely. Something that is at that point of will it come together or will it fall apart? Certainly. Can it be conflict if other cards indicate it? But on its own, no. To me, this is a perfect example of a 5. Will it stabilize and move forward, or will it collapse? Unsure. The card in itself doesn't show. I think probably one of the 5's that gets the baddest rep is the 5 of Swords. People often talk about this card as being defeat, and I honestly don't understand. The largest figure in this card right here holds 3 swords with another 2 swords at his feet. He is the victor. He's the winner in this little argument that we're witnessing. People immediately, possibly because tarot readers tend to be empathic, immediately identify with one of the other 2 characters. So we cannot presume that this card is defeat, because it shows both the victor and the defeated, and in my opinion, the third person who's just walking off. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to do, because this was the card that I really wanted to kind of bring my attention to, the card that inspired this video. I want you to compare the 5 and the 7 of swords. In the 5 of the swords, he's holding both swords by the blade, and we have a couple of swords just kind of cast down. If he was running after the defeated to finish the act, he would not be gathering up the swords. You don't run and attack somebody carrying, more than 2 swords. So to me, he's not dangerous at this point. He's not looking to continue the situation. He is handling the swords safely compared to this guy. This guy is stealing, taking, removing 5 swords, but he is holding them by the blades. There is an energy here of someone's going to get hurt. Maybe it's me, maybe it's not. Who gives a damn? This is the dangerous card, because when we don't care who gets hurt, whether it's ourselves or not, we are really dangerous. Curiously, I was watching some Buffy last night with my sons, and I have to be really careful here, I don't want to give away spoilers. We were watching towards the end of the show when Willow has nothing left to lose. She's lost everything that really matters in her life. And she turns into, at that point, the biggest villain, arguably, the show's ever had. Because when we don't care who we hurt, we really are dangerous. This guy, no. He's holding the swords by the handle. He is not looking to continue the argument. This is often... It can be a verbal argument. We need to remember the Suit of Swords is words and mind. But it can be that the victor, this guy here, has been verbally attacked by the other 2 who were trying to get him to change his mind or to step into line with what they thought was right. Because we need to look at this card again. Nobody is dead and bleeding. And we do see that in the 10 of Swords. Nobody appears to be hurt. Somebody has won the verbal argument and is handling the swords in a safe way. For me, the 5 of Swords can often say, believe in yourself. Don't let others verbally bring you down, but also don't verbally destroy others. So to me, this is actually a card of good boundaries, being safe with your words and believing in yourself. I think most of us can see the duality in the 5 of Cups. And maybe that's the point, to think of the 5s as a tipping point. Just going back 1 second. He could so easily grab a sword and chase down the other 2. And he's clearly not doing that. It is a tipping point. And with the 5 of Cups, of course, We have 3 cups that have been knocked down. We have 2 cups that are still upright, showing potential. And this is the point of feeling the sadness or the rage or the jealousy or whatever those destructive emotions are. They still need to be honored and felt. But knowing when the tipping point is, knowing when the time is right to turn round to these 2 cards. Because one of the images I love in this card is this bridge. This bridge is in the 4 of Wands. That card of joy and celebration. It reminds us that there is still celebration to have, should you choose it. And I love the stream, the river. We can see from Pamela Coleman Smith's incredible artistry that this is a fast flowing river, reminding us that life continues. Yep, take some time, reflect on the sadness or the grief or the anger, and then let it go. And you can almost see that pivot point in this card where the person shrugs off the black cloak, turnarounds, picks up the cups, and carries on with their journey. Possibly the darkest of the 5s, literally and symbolically, is the 5 of Pentacles. It's an interesting card, isn't it? I myself have obsessed about, is this snowdrifts or is this a curtain? I've thought about that myself many times. But I think possibly the most interesting detail is the fact that we can see the 6th pentacle growing there. And even more fascinating, and I don't have clear answers to everything, none of us do. But that sixth pentacle is an inverted pentacle, which is the same that we would see in the Devil card. So there's something really deep about this. I really link this card with charity to control. Sometimes when we stop and we receive help from an organization or a person, not always, but sometimes, it comes with a level of expectation that just isn't worth it. I don't have any clear answers. This is one of those little details that I'm still mulling over. But yes, the 5 of Pentacles can suggest lack, that at this point you're not going to have enough money or enough energy or enough resources. I've definitely seen it mean that. I've seen it mean a romantic breakup, because many of us are financially put under pressure when we break up with a long-term relationship. I've seen it reflect burnout when we just don't have enough resources or energy. It's that pivot point. And I think you need to look to the other cards to say, is this warning me that accepting help is going to lead me into a bit of a trap where I feel more burdened and more trapped, and that help comes with the toxicity? Is this card telling me to labor on, to continue working forwards? Or is this card warning me, I don't have enough resources, stop, rest, regather? And I would say, one of the reasons that I rarely ever do a 1-card reading is because all of these cards show a pivot point. Is this going to come together spectacularly, or is it just too chaotic and it's going to fall apart? Is now the time to sit with those darker emotions and feel them and let them go? Or is now the time to shake off that sadness, grasp what is good with life and get on with it? Is now the time to really believe in yourself and be quite dogmatic about it? Or is it time to calm down and let the dust settle and be a little bit kinder with your words? Is now the time to push on, work through, because you've got this? Or actually, are your resources so low that you need to take a break? If you've got a spread with 3 or more cards, you would have the definition to know what the answer is to all of those cards in that situation, in that moment. But on their own, I don't think any of these is necessarily a negative card. So I'm hoping you can embrace the 5s a bit more and make sure that you've got the cards either side so that you can really understand the message in each of these cards.